If you're single and recently retired, or maybe you have a parent that might be in that situation, today's episode is great for looking at, hey, what are some of the pieces that I might want to take a look at, consider when I'm entering those first couple years of retirement. So looking at Mary, Arkansas today, she's helping us out. She's retired, she's single, she has adult children. Let's jump into her situation here and look at kind of how she's situated and what might be important to point out. So you see the first thing I already have highlighted here is this joint bank account with a daughter. A lot of times we see that for people that might be retired, they're looking to have their children help them as they get up in age. A joint bank account with a child on it can be helpful in having them manage your bills and so forth, but there are some pieces that you also want to make sure you're considering. So if it's set up as a joint tenants with right of survivorship with your child, then if something were to happen to Mary, all of this money would go immediately to the daughter. It would not go through the will. It would not get split up with the other children. Legally, it would be the daughter's money then at that point. So talk to your bank if you do want to do this to see how are they going to be put on. And if God forbid something happened to you in Mary's situation, where would the money go, and does that fit with what you would like to actually see? You can also see then on this next bucket here, Mary has two different TOD accounts. So this is that first bucket, the flexible bucket. It is between banking accounts and the retirement accounts. And so most often, this is the first bucket people go to supplement their retirement income needs. So this TOD designation means that it's going to transfer on death directly to whoever the beneficiaries are. Could be Mary's kids, obviously, that's the most common. And this avoids it going through the will and probate. And a lot of times that can make it more efficient, both from a cost and time perspective. But, if you have special limitations or you have children that might have special needs or anything like that where it makes sense to have it pass through the will, go through a trust or something like that, you want to make sure that you're aware of that as well. You can also notice here that Mary's first TOD account is moderately conservative. That could very well be appropriate. Again, if this is one of the initial places that she's going to be pulling money from, having it be more conservative than some of her subsequent accounts, as you're going to see, could very well make sense. Mary now not only, though, has a moderately conservative account, she also has a money market account that has about $30,000 in it. So a lot of times if you're entering retirement, what can make sense is putting money aside into a money market account that might fit your first 12 to 24 months worth of income needs. And why this helps is because if the market drops in those first couple years of retirement, you're not going to be pulling money out of investments as they're going down in value. That money market account is kind of like a bank account. It's not going to be going down if the market goes down. So it's a great way to kind of secure your first couple years of retirement income needs if you know what that supplement is above your other fixed income sources. Now we're going down to Mary's other accounts here. She has an IRA that's invested moderately, so you can see it's moving up in risk tolerance, as well as a Roth IRA that's aggressive. So a Roth IRA is going to be the last bucket that she's most likely going to use. It grows tax-free. You want to leave it there as long as possible to grow tax-free. And you can see that now because it has the longest time horizon, aggressive could very well be appropriate for it here. Lastly, Mary has this IRA annuity, and it has an income rider on it. So the income rider provides guaranteed income for Mary more times than not. For how we set this one up, that is true. That's what it does. And so for Mary's situation where she has this IRA with an income rider, we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of that as early as possible to get her that income out of that guaranteed source. And also now when she gets older, we want to make sure we're paying attention to how this IRA works with her kind of traditional IRA that is not in an annuity. As you get up in age, there's a required minimum distribution. As of this recording, it starts at 73 and it goes all the way up to age 75. And so that's when you'll have to kind of start it based on when you were born as of today. And the way that the RMD, required minimum distributions, work is the government basically says, hey, we gave you a tax deduction when you went into this plan, and we want you to make you take some money out at some point because then we get to tax it. So we weren't just doing it to be kind and friendly. At some point, we want you to pull that money out or a piece of it out every year so that we can get our tax money. So they'll look at the end of the year value, they'll look at your age, and they'll tell you how much you have to take out. Now, one mistake that some people make here is they look at all of their IRAs individually. RMDs are not calculated individually. What the IRS does is they add up all your IRAs together. They take that total year-end value, then they take your age and they apply a life expectancy number to it. And that's how they calculate how much you have to take out. It might start at like 1/30th and 1/29th. So every year it becomes a little bit more. So if you look at all of your accounts on an individual basis, you might wind up pulling out more than you have to, especially when you look at these income riders. So this income rider might be more than what Mary has to take out for her RMD. It may cover both of these accounts together. So you want to look at, hey, what's my total RMD? And if I have an income rider on an annuity that is an IRA, I want to make sure I'm only taking the difference of what I have to from the RMD, not the entire RMD for each individual account necessarily. So a lot of good pieces here for Mary to pay attention with. And if you're a child that has a parent in this situation, maybe some things to ask them about as well, especially if they want you to be involved. So now when we jump over to the kind of advanced planning piece of this, if we're working one-on-one with Mary, you see we have a couple different items checked off here. So obviously whether you're Mary or the child of Mary or children of Mary, you're wanting them to enjoy their life as much as possible here while being protected. So starting down here for the secure income piece of it, you can see how a lot of different guaranteed sources here. So I'm going to turn these buttons off actually to start so we can see what that base scenario is. You can see between Social Security and pension and that annuity income rider, a lot of the total income needs are already secured through these secure forms of income. Now that probably gives us not too much of a difference that we're going to have to be pulling from investments to fill out what Mary needs to live on. So that could very well provide additional opportunities to either provide more protection in the way of long-term care planning or just living life, additional vacations. So when we turn these buttons on here, you can see now that it adds additional expenses. And again, in a one-on-one planning scenario, that could say, hey, can we afford the long-term care type of scenario? Can we afford some additional vacations, even though it spreads out the total secure income sources versus the total expense needs? Hey, maybe we can afford that if Mary is able to. So a lot of good pieces to look at here. So first couple years of retirement are super, super important. So whether you're in a situation like Mary where you're single, just entering into retirement, or again, you're the kid of Mary where you have your parents entering in something like this, paying attention to those first couple of years can be really important in making sure you have everything sorted out the way it should be. So thanks for joining me today, and more plan shares to come.